Hello, everyone. Once again, this is Dare to Speak. And I want to share with you a personal story that has to do with something that I think is very, very interesting. And it has I don't know what I would call it. But for any of you who actually experienced, like in my case, for example, I have a sleeping disorder. I have what is known as sleep apnea, where you're not breathing correctly when you sleep. And I used the CPAP machine. They had me on it, and I couldn't tolerate it. I tried it for a month, and I just couldn't tolerate it. Right now, I'm on a different machine, and everything is, everything is great. So, but it's not really so much about that. But I couldn't tolerate the CPAP machine. And of course, there's different models. There's different types of masks. There's one I'm able to tolerate compared to other types of masks. The point is, I had three surgeries to help reduce my sleep apnea, and it did do some degree of good. Well, I had my tonsils removed and my part of my soft palate and my uvula removed in surgery, and it did do some good, but it wasn't enough, and I still gained weight, and I struggled with it for most of my life. And the thing about it is, another thing that helped me, and which I started to become very dependent on, was these stimulants, these wake-up pills, they call it. I took something that was called Adderall, which is just another one is like Ritalin. It's, for people who have a attention deficit disorder, which I also had. And there was also people who have narcolepsy. They can't stay awake and they doze off. When I first took it, and I was on it for about maybe 5-6 years, until I switched to a different type of another medication that does the same thing. It's basically cocaine on a pill, or speed. It's basically speed. And for those of you who have ever taken something called ephedra, it does the same thing. It speeds up your metabolism. Your energy metabolism goes up like crazy, depending on how much of a dose you take. Because of course, if you take too much of it, you could die of a heart attack. And I was able to do my work and my third shift work and go out and just pretty much finish up my whole entire work day and stuff like that. And I became very dependent on it, and I did lose weight because it does suppress your hunger. Adderall does suppress your hunger, and at the same time, you're very stimulant. I would even power walk on a treadmill for about 2 or 3 hours straight, while I'm all geeked up on this and these pep pills, on these stimulant type pills. After Adderall, I took another medication, and this medication pretty much did the same thing. It was a stimulant, and it did do a lot. And if I were to put I would say I took that for about maybe the same amount of years, maybe 4 or 5 years or something. I don't remember exactly. I would say 10. Yeah, I would say altogether about a good 14 years. that I've been on these stimulants, and now I can't really go on them anymore. There's a bunch of problems that happened, and it's a long story, and I'm not really going to get into that right now. Of course, I want to talk about the side effects, and one particular side effect, especially with this second one that I took, which did the same as Adderall or Ritalin. It does the same thing, or ephedra. It not only stimulates the body and it makes you very energetic, but also stimulates the brain, the mind. So you're more focused. You're not only you're mentally awake and you're awake to do your tasks, your physical tasks. But it's also kind of like a smart pill. You feel smarter. Your wit is actually it actually increases a great deal. And it's like amazing. It's like, wow. And with all of these things that happened, the things that I noticed was, aside from the weight loss and for some people, this is kind of like embarrassing to talk about, but it does increase your sex drive. That's what I noticed. That was one of the side effects in that one. And but the thing about it is, one particular thing happened, which is what I really want to talk about. And I don't think this is something that I actually that I'm very mistaken of, or I hallucinated in any way. It's my opinion, when you take a stimulant, to help combat, narcolepsy or sleep apnea, when you feel very weak and tired and sleepy all the time, and you can't tolerate the CPAP machine because of the mask or whatever, that kind of thing. And surgery did only very, very little for you, to the point you have to rely on these pills. When you take them regularly for as long as I have, for 14 years, this is something that I started to notice about for the past maybe 4 years at the most. The first 10 years I didn't notice that much of anything. That it does make you psychic. And it sounds crazy, but it stimulates the brain to such a degree. It's like an electrical current that goes to your brain, and it does something. It does make you feel not only very alert and very smart, like a smart pill, but I noticed that I was able to see the fourth dimension. I was able to see spirits, ghostly spirits, apparitions. I would see silhouettes of them passing through. And at first I thought I was maybe hallucinating, because one of the side effects, it says hallucinations. So I dismissed it as hallucinations at first. But after a while, I decided, I was kind of questioning it. I'm like, what if it's not hallucinations? And then I had more of these so-called out-of-body experiences, or astral projection. It happened a lot, especially the very last year, especially the last on my 14th year. When I took them almost regularly, or a couple of days a week, not regularly, but a couple of days a week. Whenever I would recover from it after the stimulation is gone, and then it starts to wear off a little bit, and then I start to feel a little bit relaxed. I noticed that when I would sleep, when right away my body's relaxed, but my brain is still, like juiced up, if you will. And I noticed I would see, I would feel my spirit leave my body, and I was able to, like just people that have to go through astral projection. And there was times where it would come out of my body halfway, and then right before it goes in, I decided to look at a certain object in my bedroom. I would have like a chair, or whether it's a chair or a door, I would make it move through the power of my mind. The door would open or close, and the chair would lean back, and it would fall to the floor. And then after I woke up, after I was able to move, I wouldn't call it waking up, but because once I was able to move for the paralysis and this, and I noticed that the chair was on the floor. I noticed that certain objects that I was pretty sure I moved, they were actually in a different location. Something that I placed on one side of the shelf would be on the other side when I made it move. I would see apparitions, and I had this one poster of the cosmos and this giant planet, and then there's just lake, and this poster was a very rare one that I got from some kid who did some kind of art form on it. He was a very good professional artist, and I had it made into it was a regular picture, like a fair sized picture, and I had it blown up into a poster later on, a big poster, and I had it in my room. And then when I looked at it, after seeing these apparitions pass by, I looked at the poster, and I could see the water of the lake move, as if I was looking out through a window. And I saw the big planet that was in the middle of the picture, and it was actually rotating, as if I was looking outside of a spaceship, and I saw the colors, the swirly colors, actually move around, as if I was really out in space. And I saw all the stuff and the water, the currents moving in directions, and I thought it was overwhelming. And that's only because, from what I suspect, when the brain is stimulated to that degree, it makes you psychic. Maybe someone has to be born to be very sensitive to it, to be very sensitive to being psychic. I don't know. I don't think this is something that anybody can actually experience. I think you may have to possibly have to be very sensitive, or like and I'm not trying to be funny, but like some people will say force sensitive, like in Star Wars, but psychic sensitive. I should say it. People that are very psychic sensitive, and I noticed these things actually happening. Now I'm still open to the possibility that it's actually a hallucination. I'm still open to that possibility, but the larger part of my guess, of my suspicion, is I actually saw the fourth dimension. It does make you psychic. It does, you start having these vivid images and these epiphanies. It's very hard to explain about that part. But telekinesis I did experience, and I did experience seeing ghostly spirits, the fourth dimension, and astral projection. It was very easy, and I was in total control of it. So, for any of you who actually had these type of pills, who have been taking them for that long, anybody who ever experienced something like that, just let me know. Drop a comment, or if you have any questions, that kind of thing. You know what to do. And again, to all of you, take care.